Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we are here taking a look at I-DLE's dance practice entitled Klaxon. Now, I did hear some hot topics in regards to people's feelings about the track because of some of the innuendos of their choices in the music video, so we are going to take a look with kind of just some refinement on some of my personal feedback on the choreo because I've already analyzed it technically. So I am excited to look at this in this way just so we can see and do just a mini comparison between whenever they performed it live in bikinis and them wearing regular dance practice clothes. So let's go ahead and check it out. It's clean. Klaxon. I like that with the hip syncopation on that. Or they're riding through the ba-ba-na-na. Okay, so for me, and this can be considered like a low-key hot take, I know people are upset at the fact that they were like wearing bikinis and they were, you know, a lot of these movements, whenever what you wear does influence how these movements come across. I advocate for this all the time in the dance studio space, especially with young dancers, because your movements that you do, what you wear can influence how it comes across. Like that is just that is true, you know, from a psychological standpoint and just in general, because if you notice here what they're wearing, it's more covered. They're all wearing pants, they're all wearing shirts, and they're doing the exact same choreo. It's the exact same as what they did in the bikinis, but why did it feel so different? That is why. Now, I will also say this as the hot take is I wasn't a part of the comebacks where it was like nude or revenge or any of those I would deem as controversial as this one. And also I've kind of talked about this pretty often, and I kind of feel this way now too. With Hyuna, some of her choices and like her abrasiveness in her individuality are things that I've noticed in I-DLE in their movement quality and their choices. I will say this too, you guys know I am the first to advocate for, I really don't like over-sexualization of idols, especially when it's not their choice. Part of it's a knowledge, like informed consent is a really big thing, because a lot of times companies put a huge pressure on groups for the sake of money, and so they're going to compromise. A lot of them end up compromising a group for the sake of making a profit. I think at this point with Idol, they've been advocates for themselves on what they've wanted to do. They were the ones that wanted to do nude, right? The showgirl themed one where she's literally on camera taking her top off, and of course you don't see the front, but you see the back. You get the intention. Do you know what I mean? So I feel that if people were not upset at that one, but they're upset about this one, I kind of feel like that's misplaced, and we kind of got to all treat them equally. It's either idols your flavor or they're not. It's kind of how I feel. For me, I think they get to make these choices themselves. I don't feel like they're pressured into it. If anything, I feel like they have to advocate for themselves in order to go with some of these concepts, if that makes sense. So all that to say, I don't really know. I can't really answer that. I don't work with them. I don't work for Cube. I know Cube's really not that great of a company to begin with, but we don't have to talk about that. But I've already done an analysis, so I really don't think there's like a ton to really talk about. But I mean, a lot of the movements that you end up seeing, like this whole beginning here, I do agree that some of the camera shots, they reminded me a bit of Minx, a smidge, with before, pre-Dreamcatcher, with some of the choices that felt they didn't have a choice, and that made me very uncomfortable. In this case here, this gives similar energy, and based on context of what I've reacted to, the commentary from fans that know more than Reddit does, I feel that this is a choice they made collectively as a group. They don't look forced. Does that make sense? And there's a subtlety behind that. Like all of this right here, they know what they're doing, and also I want to challenge you with this. If people have an issue with them doing the style of choreography, then you should also find an issue with overly sexual boy group choreos too. It's like you can't be upset with one group doing something in bikinis, but then have men drenched in oil and rain sitting there pelvic thrusting for your pleasure either. Like you can't have you can't have both. I'm sorry. Now, the topic at hand is, do I think it's okay if we are, compromising an individual without their consent? Abso-freaking-lutely, especially if they're at an age or a part of their life or a part of where they are at a company or their lived experience within that scenario is not going to be, they need somebody advocating for them for their safety of that, right? Because they're still developing socially and experience-wise as a professional. Like, I think there's totally okay for some advocacy there. I don't think in this context that's really not what we're dealing with. Does that kind of make sense? So that's my hot take. If it is a hot take, I do know a lot of people will probably agree with me on that, but I know some people may not. I highly encourage respectful conversation about it. And also I also encourage you, take time, watch all of my analysis and commentary on I-DLE, because like I said, I've seen all of their discography at this point, so I'm very familiar on the eras in which they've showcased through and dived through. So this isn't new for me. It just kind of feels like the summer version of what you would see Hyuna do for Bubble Pop. It kind of just gives that, but I think they do it very well, honestly, and they hold it down. Now, is this my favorite song? Probably not. And I know some people, this track's kind of out of pocket, but it's about out of pocket for I-DLE, but that spunkiness that they've normally bring, just like Dreamcatcher doing Outfit of the Day and people kind of having mixed feelings of that, but you can kind of leave it up to interpretation on the intention of the track, I don't know what the meaning of this track is as much as some of their other ones are, because there's years that have gone by since I've taken a look at those, but I digress. My whole point being, I don't really see as big of an issue with it as I know a lot of people have kind of blown it up to be, because I think they have way more say in their choices as artists than a lot of groups do in some of these things. But I could also be wrong. Please inform me if I am out of pocket for that. I want to learn and I want to continue to grow in that. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. I know I didn't really talk through the choreography as much, but the reason why is because I've already analyzed it, and so I didn't want to be redundant on a lot of things, but I thought it was more important to talk about the costuming and talk about just the overall what people are saying, kind of giving my perspective on it, especially after seeing what the choreo actually looks like, because I've seen it, in the bikini context and regular clothes context. It's not something I'm unfamiliar with, and also it's something where I'm willing to advocate for. You have freedom of independence as an artist to make your choices. that viewer has the option to not support it too. Like, there's the beauty and freedom of that. What I always say in a choreographer, like I mentioned, is the different group does not have informed consent nor the ability to say no if it's something that they're not comfortable with. But based on the context of everything I've seen with I-DLE and what I've noticed here and in their productions, I do think they have like it's a consensual choice of the choices that they're making. So that's why for me, I'm kind of playing the side that I'm on. But I'm always one who wants to discuss and wants to dive in with people. So if that interests you, I'm here on YouTube and Patreon side of things. You guys know me, I know you. I'm Jess, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.
Yeah.